Hello everybody, Average Gamer here. Welcome to another Let's Talk. In this episode, World of Tanks versus Mechwarrior Online. So I play both games. Just want to state that out fact. I obviously play Mechwarrior Online a little bit more often. I don't record or post videos for World of Tanks on my channel. I did way back in the day when I first started playing it and all that stuff, and really didn't get the views for it, so I just said fuck it, and I play it more personally. That and Armored Warfare. I'm gonna play on my own and all that stuff. So I wanted to look at a few things. Mechwarrior Online versus World of Tanks, since World of Tanks is pretty much the the biggie, right? The the whale, so to speak, of free to play kind of games in this mode, or this methodology, we'll say. So a couple things. First off, first thing that I want to point out to you is the way the weapons work. So I like the way weapons work in Mechwarrior Online to a point. With Mechwarrior Online, you pretty much have a damage amount. If you press it, click it, you get it, you got it. Meaning that a weapon, say for example on the ERPPC, like on my generator here, it does 10 damage. I hit someone, I do 10 damage. Simple as that. With World of Tanks, if I hit someone, it depends on the angle. So I have to think about the angle I'm shooting at someone. Then there's still the ability to possibly bounce around off someone, or blow around and over penetrate, so it doesn't do as much damage as it should. And you always have to be thinking, okay, where am I shooting? How am I shooting? What angle am I shooting at? What am I shooting with? Who am I shooting at? And how are they positioned and how are they situated? Are they moving? Are they not moving? If they're moving, how far ahead do I have to aim to get to the spot I want to? But if I over penetrate, or will I under penetrate? Things like that. Mechwarrior Online, you don't have to worry about as much as that. Pretty much, this is how much the damage the weapon does. There you go. One missile does 1 damage. Simple, right? Now, doesn't mean you're going to get that much damage. Like, for example, if you were firing Clan Autocannon 10, you fire 3 rounds. Each one of those rounds does not equal 10. You're not shooting 30 points of damage at someone. You're firing 10 points of damage divided by 3. So you're doing 3.33 damage per round fired, for example, on an Ultra 10. Right? So, theoretically, you could get 10 points of damage if all 3 land, or you could get 6.6. If you don't hit a round, but a round misses, well, you got 0.3. Oh, sorry, my voice just kind of went there for a second. So, that's the first thing. The weapon systems, since they work completely different, it kind of depends on your own personal thing. If you're really into the intellectual number crunching, thinking before you're shooting, sitting back, contemplating, World of Tanks is really a big thing. Later on, as you get better, you won't think as much. It's a lot of click, right click, right click, left click, right click, left click. But yeah, so the way the weapons work, completely different, but I like the way they both work in their own right. Since there's more of a random number generator associated with the World of Tanks shooting, it makes it a little bit more realistic. Well, with Mechwarrior Online, since you're dealing with futuristic weapons and lasers and things like that, where you click it and it goes straight, there you go. You're pretty good, right? I mean, it'll say, oh, laser does 5 points of damage. Well, that's 5 points of damage if you're locked onto the person the entire time, right? If you hit the person and then they start moving and you miss, then you're not going to do as much damage. So it makes that whole spurting around your damage, moving around, dodging, moving, all that stuff, it makes it important, right? So the whole movement is important. Well, World of Tanks is all about your angling, your side scraping, being hulled down, because someone could shoot you and the round just bounces right off the the cupola or the front of your tank. I'm having flashbacks when I was in the army. It's like, don't worry, the armor on the Leopard is pretty good on the front. Just got to worry about some little bastard coming from behind or the side. Anyways, so the next part I want to mention is the grind and the unlock process. So, sort of World of Tanks, you start with tier 1 tanks. I think it's one of every group. Now, to go ahead and move up in those tanks, you have to grind. You have to unlock additional additions to those tanks. You then have to grind to earn enough, I think it's money and XP and stuff like that, to unlock the next tier. and then purchase the next tank and continue on and on and on and move up and up and up and up in the ranks. Now, Mechwarrior Online, there's nothing holding you back. Once you're done your cadet bonus, you have enough money to buy any mech you want. You buy 3 mechs, you level them up, there you go. And you're done. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing ventured. Nothing gained. You got your mech. There you go. So there's not much grind when it comes to having to earn a mech in Mechwarrior Online versus having to grind and get a tank in World of Tanks. If you wanted that tier 4 Murder 2 tank destroyer, self-propelled gun in World of Tanks, you're looking at a couple months worth of playing. You're gonna grind up through all the tiers. You gotta earn everything and then unlock all the stuff on top of that. Then get that tank or self-propelled gun technically. Mechwarrior Online, I want to get. Trying to figure out a tier 4 version. That'd be like some sort of like a medium tank or a medium mech. Let's say medium clan mech. Okay, no problem. So that's about 9 million C-bills. Alright, so that's about what? Without premium time, making around 150 match. So you play at least 10 matches a night. So you're making at least $1 million a night. You're looking at about 2 weeks. Or actually not even 2 weeks, depending on how well you do and all that stuff. You can make $1 million an hour. Actually, that's yeah. I mean, you make $3 million a night, so in 3 days, you can earn $9 million, have enough money to purchase another mech. Almost every 3 days, technically, right? So the grind to get tanks versus the grind to get mechs, in my eyes, definitely is weighted more on the Mechwarrior side. Now, mind you, the fact that you're able to, well, use everything and anything out of the gate is something I'm not a fan of. I think there should be some sort of tier system and unlock system associated with getting mechs and stuff like that. So I would prefer something like that in the system. So I kind of like that. So though I like the grind associated with Mechwarrior Online, I like the tier system associated with having to unlock mechs with World of Tanks. So somehow if I can get like a good balance between the two for Mechwarrior Online, I'd be happy. The next one is the spotting mechanics. So for Mechwarrior Online, it's pretty self-explanatory. You see someone or someone is in your sensor range, you get them, you detect them. There you go. Get UAVs to increase spotting ranges. You get spotting range quirks. Different mechs have different spotting ranges. You got the daisy chains. On top of all of that, you have the ability to increase your own sensor range with modules. So for example, a light, let's say Raven, with the advanced sensor module, with that extra 25% boost, crazy, right? But then you have something like the Cyclops within range of it, of 100, I think it's 190 meters. That boosts that an extra 150. So that Raven is seeing pretty much the majority of the map. Now, mind you, if it doesn't have a line of sight on something, it won't see it. That's very realistic, right? If someone is out in the open, everyone can see it as long as it's not an ECM and it's within everyone's sensor range. Sensor system, very, very good in Mechwarrior Online, but it's very futuristic, obviously. World of Tanks, on the other hand, it is really fucking screwed up. Being in the army for a while that I was in, couple things that you need to know about tanks before I get into the whole thing about World of Tanks. You can't hide a tank. You can, camo it a little bit and stuff like that. But it's really hard to hide a tank. So the way you can do is break up the lines of the tank a little bit by putting stuff on it, painting it in certain different ways, certain different painted camo like we did the Canadian Forces, break up the lines a little bit for night vision goggles, for example. So if you're looking at the tank with night vision, it doesn't look right because certain colors of the paint actually reflect a little bit better than the others do. Others absorb. So it breaks the lines up, right? Now, the way World of Tanks decides to do this is the whole detection range. If you shoot your gun, you have X detection range. If you're not shooting your gun and you're just sitting, not moving, you have a set detection range. I mean, people can only detect you within, even if the two of you are wide open plains, and you have a detection range of 150 meters, the two of them are both 200 meters away from each other, they can't see each other, even if it's line of sight. So very, very unrealistic. My theory is that's one reason why I can't really play World of Tanks sometimes, because I get in this situation where it's like, well, there's a mouse. It's a fucking like 80 some odd ton tank, I believe. I'm sitting here in a Walker Bulldog out in the open, and I should be able to see that motherfucker from over a kilometer away, because he is sitting down in a valley, in the middle of the valley, way out in the open. I'm on top looking down, and I don't fucking see him. So the way they do the whole camel rating thing, not a fan of it. The advanced super, now mind you, it's their way of kind of countering, but yeah, well, we won't get into that. On the other hand, Mechwarrior Online uses that more advanced futuristic sensor systems and stuff like that, like seismic and all that stuff. So it's good for its version. It still, in my eyes, could use some tweaks and stuff like that with daisy chaining and more accurate line of sight changes and stuff like that. But overall, it's pretty good. The sensor system's pretty good in Mechwarrior Online. The one in World of Tanks is just fucked up. Artillery in the two of them, to be honest with you, it works completely different, right? In artillery in Mechwarrior Online, you basically call it in yourself, mark the spot. The artillery lands, you do damage or not. There you go. World of Tanks, it's an actual person in an artillery, self-propelled gun, lobbing rounds. We don't have artillery in Mechwarrior Online, so the best we can get to it is, say, for example, LRMs and large autocannons like AC-20s, for example, and Gauss. I'll think of those three things kind of as artillery. LRMs mostly. LRMs work pretty good. Most people are going to be like, hey, LRMs, blah, 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 blah. Listen, current modern day technology states in doctrine, if you can stand off and fire a missile and damage or kill or incapacitate the hostile, you do it. Just because you don't like the fact that someone else is lobbing missiles at you, that's suck it up, buttercup. During World War I, people were using artillery all the time. They didn't like it. What'd they do? They pushed forward and tried to outrange the artillery. Get in close. If someone's firing a lot of LRMs, get in close with them. Use your advantage. Don't let them use yours. Use theirs, sorry. So, in my eyes, LRMs work pretty good. They're asuppressive. They piss people off on the other team, annoy them, and get them off their game. Artillery in World of Tanks does the same thing. Artillery rounds start landing. It starts to make you mad. Starts to piss you off a little bit. And gets you off your game. That's one of the things I always like about LRMs. I can load up an LRM boat and just lob missiles at people all day. Because it pisses people off. They think it takes no skill. And overall, they don't like it. Mind you, I love LRMs, mainly because I can suppress an enemy. I can reduce his health before he gets to me. And then when he gets to me, I can simply dispatch him. Now, on your higher tiers, LRMs aren't really a problem. In my tier 1 and tier 2 matches I've been playing recently, yeah, people have LRMs, but, I mean, you just go hide somewhere real quick. They lose track of you. You move in, kill them. No? It's not hard. Stop your whining, deal with the problem. Problem is, your attitude. Just kidding. So, artillery. Works different ways. I like the fact that in World of Tanks, it's player utilized. Well, in Mechwarrior Online, it's you throw your smoke. There you go. It's a one-off in a match. Entertainment value. So World of Tanks, I find it turns into a very campy, all about maneuvering and thought. Mechwarrior Online, it's got one of three different outcomes, really. Number one team completely destroys the other team in a matter of minutes. That could be minutes into a match. Could be, 10, 15 minutes into a match. All of a sudden, it's just something happens and the whole one team collapses. The other team takes the advantage and boom, there you go. So, there's that. Other part of Mechwarrior Online is it becomes a poking fest where both teams sit behind a good defensive position and sit there and just take pot shots at one another until one team has a distinct advantage and then presses that advantage. The third one is the one everyone usually complains about, is the one where both teams sit back defensively, Pop-Tart, things like that, but do not press at all. They sit back and are happy with grinding each other down. I have no problem with either of those three modes, or those three methodologies of playing. One team lands, just goes right at the throat of the other one right at the beginning. Both teams go defensively, whittle each other down until one takes an advantage and then takes it. Or the third one, both teams just sit back and whittle each other down. So, overall, though both games do have their positives and negatives, I do want to say I do go towards the direction of Mechwarrior Online a little bit more when it comes to certain options. Well, World Tanks, in my eyes, does have a couple better options. I think there's a couple different options there in that I mentioned that, both can be kind of incorporated in one another to create some better options and abilities for Mechwarrior Online. For example, the skills associated with tanks, things like that could be modified to fit mechs. So, for example, you don't actually work on skills for mechs, but instead you can buy different things for mechs. So instead of working on skills and that, you can buy different laser upgrades, different rubies, different power systems, sensor systems, actuators to run faster, different coolant systems, upgraded coolant systems to make the mech more heat efficient, things like that, right? Which would be kind of cool. In conjunction with Mechwarrior Online, the ability to get a pilot. That's going to be in the next episode. That's going to be the next Let's Talk. Pilots. The ability to actually purchase a pilot to get you skills and get you bonuses. Until then, see you guys next time on the battlefield. Bye-bye.